Ever since the Great Depression, our government has had plans and programs to help the poor. These programs were meant to be a band-aid to help people get over short-term difficulties, but now have become a lifestyle and a way of living for many. 37 million Americans are dependent on our welfare system for government aid. The affirmative team wants a substantial increase in funds for social services, which will undoubtedly create more dependency and less desire to leave the system. Increasing these services is just putting a bigger band-aid on the problem instead of solving it. Under the current system, every month, people in need are given money to spend, food stamps, medical insurance, and a place to live. This is nice for the moment, but 30 days later, they will again have no money, no food, and nowhere to live, unless the government continues the system of dependence. People don't just count on the government's money, they depend on the government's money, and with or without the support, they are no less dependent. The way that the system is set up actually keeps people from ever getting off of government support, and even has disincentives for people who try to improve their quality of life. The amount of money a person is given, the amount of food stamps that they receive, and the cost of their monthly rent are all calculated based on monthly income. If they are unemployed and don't make any money, they receive full government benefits. In Pennsylvania, this entitles you to $421 of cash per month, $526 in food stamps, full health insurance coverage, and subsidized housing. Suppose one day a person who decides to change her life gets a part-time job as a cashier at Target. She now makes approximately $1,800 a month, and after mandatory deductions take home about $1,500. Because she's a part-time employee, she does not qualify for any of Target's benefits. Therefore, she does not receive any health care coverage for the job. By earning a total of $22,000 a year at a part-time job, of which she will take home only about $18,000, she no longer qualifies for any government benefits. She will now no longer receive food stamps worth approximately $526, or she will not receive her cash for $526, or her $421 a month. At first glance, it seems that she's made up better by having this job. However, she also no longer qualifies for the subsidized housing or for Medicaid. The money she has earned is not enough to even cover the increased cost of her no longer subsidized housing. So it would be easier and more efficient for her to just quit her job and go back to getting full government benefits. Why should we put more tax money into programs that reward people for sitting at home and doing nothing? How will people ever be able to get promoted to a good job when the welfare system does not encourage them to start working? Instead of substantially increasing the already $1.01 trillion we already spend on social services, we would like to see the programs change to a system that doesn't just support people in poverty, but gets people out of poverty. The negative team isn't saying that the poor people should not be given help from their fellow citizens through government programs, but we do say that instead of just handing out the money, we should give support to the people who are working their way towards a better life for themselves and for their families. The ultimate goal of the recipient must be to leave the system and not become dependent on the system. The affirmative team is saying that the government already does this, but the number of people who stay dependent is proof of a failing system. In 1996, President Clinton signed the Welfare Reform Act. Under this act, states were to encourage recipients to go search for a job in exchange for benefits. The original numbers made this look like a success, but people were not getting off of welfare. Instead, they were just getting their benefits under the workfare program instead of the welfare program. The cost of the government did not decrease, it just moved the cost to a different program. Instead of increasing the money spent on government aid to programs that only temporarily help with poverty, it would be more beneficial for us to substantially increase funding towards something that will keep people from ever needing support. One way to do this is to increase funding for education. There already exists in a limited number of schools a government-subsidized preschool program called Head Start. This full-day program has been shown to increase the success of their participants through their entire education. If we use government money to put this program into all of our districts, we can increase the number of people who end up depending on the government for welfare. With more money going towards education, we could also help with financial aid for students who want to go to college but can't afford it. By allowing these people to now get a higher level education, we can prevent them from needing a lifetime of government support. As I said earlier, the current programs that the government uses to give money to people in poverty only temporarily covers up the problem and does not help solve it. People start relying on government aid and are rewarded for not having a job or making money. People who do get a job have trouble keeping it because they lost their benefits and end up worse off if they had never worked in the first place. Instead of putting more money into a system that discourages people's success and only temporarily helps with poverty, we should be putting the money into places that will help people to be successful on their own and never need to rely on government support. Substantially increasing funding of social services to United States citizens in poverty will only perpetuate a never-ending poverty cycle of people depending on the government to live. As Norman Vincent Peale stated, empty pockets never hold anyone back. Only empty heads and empty hearts can do that.